card for good people. This is a ramp card for if you have any kind of sense of decency and any kind of sense of, all right, guys, screw it. Enough talk here. There is one card that was super overbuffed in one of the 2025 balance patches. As you all know, if you have touched PvZ Heroes in the last year, you'll know that there is one card that is sitting on top of the mountain. And forget about Gravitry and forget about Fig. Those are not one-cost cards that ruin single-handedly the meta of a card game. We're talking about Sun-Shroom. How they nerfed Torchwood from having Bullseye and didn't nerf Sun-Shroom. This card, oh my god. Here's why Sun-Shroom has ruined PvZ Heroes meta. And this needs to be urgently, PopCap, if you're listening, please, I'm begging you, please nerf this card. You don't have to do anything else to the game. PvZ Heroes will be in a playable meta state when Sun-Shroom gets nerfed. Here's the problem with Sun-Shroom. First of all, 1 cost, 2 health. So it's not the easiest card. That itself is not the actual problem with Sun-Shroom. The problem is 3 health. This is the problem here with Sun-Shroom. It's a 1 cost card. If you don't remove it on turn 1, the game's basically over. Because it's turning into this monster on turn 2. Which not only is giving you 2 Sun, that's already pretty egregious that your 1 cost card has already given you 1 Sun last turn, and now it's gonna be giving you 2 Sun. That's already really good. But it's the fact that it has 3 health now. 3 health. Zombies can't deal 3 damage very easily, especially on turn 2. You have Extinction Event, you have Beam Me Up. These are all things that deal 2 damage. They're not going to do 3. The only thing that can kill this, you don't have Knockout or Weed Spray. It's got to be just Rolling Stone or one of the 3 damage superpowers, whether it be Boogaloo, regular Lightning Bolt, or Z-Mech. Those are really, I guess, Octopulse is the other thing that could take this out. A few very niche superpowers, and then Rolling Stone is the only way to deal with this after it transforms. If this card would just have 2 health, it would still be super overpowered, but it wouldn't be as busted as it is today. Now that this has 3 health, the only way to be able to win when you're facing Sun-Shroom is to have an answer to that turn 1 Sun-Shroom. You have to be able to answer this on turn 1, which means every zombie deck, their entire turn 1 strategy has been, forget about Con Man, that was a really fun card, nice aggressive play, it's a 1 cost, 1/3 Bullseye, does a lot of damage. Even forget about Cheese Cutter, because if that used to be a control card. The zombie could just play Cheese Cutter on turn 1, and the plants have to deal with it. The plants can ignore it and just play Sun-Shroom, because you play Sun-Shroom in another lane, and it's turning into a 3 health minion that's ramping. Again, you're going to be on turn 3, you're already going to be at 5 automatically. They could just ignore the Cheese Cutter. The entire zombie meta right now is dealing with Sun-Shroom on turn 1, which means you have to be running Bungie, you have to be running Rolling Stone. When I'm Z-Mech, I run many copies of both Bungie and Rolling Stone, and he has 2 superpowers that can deal with Sun-Shroom. But it's made Huge Giganticus and Super Brains competitively unplayable, because they don't have an answer to Sun-Shroom on turn 1. Brainstorm has to, you have Summoning, which sometimes answers this, and then you just have Bungee Plumber. If you don't have your Bungee Plumber in turn 1, you just lose. Immorticia, if you don't get your Bats or your Summoning that makes a 2-attack minion, you lose the game. If your Summoning makes a 1-attack guy, the game just ends. You're so far behind. Every once in a while, with a line dancing zombie and with deadly minions, sometimes you can really grind your way back into the game. But if the opponent has any efficient plays after their Sun-Shroom has turned into Sun-Shroom, if they're really able to spend those extra Sun that they are making every single turn, you're so far behind, there's no catching up. The game is basically over on turn 1. It's hard to say if this is as oppressive as Quarterly Bonus, which was a very oppressive finisher back when it was adding 4 attack and doing a bonus attack instead of just setting a zombie's attack to 4. It's hard to say if this is even comparable, but it was two separate problems. Quarterly bonus was a game finisher, but this is a game starter. The game is over. In 90% of cases, if they don't answer Sunny or Shroom on turn 1. So besides for that being a gameplay problem, it's also just created a meta problem. Because now the amount of zombie decks, the creativity of PvZ Heroes, which has always been its strong suit, has been narrowed down on the zombie side. Zombies have to be running, first of all, they gotta be running always as many answers as they can. You can't run hugely gigantic because they're super brains practically nowadays, and you can't even really run Immorticia anymore. You have to be running answers, or brain freeze. You have to be running answers to multiple answers to Sun-Shroom on turn 1. The second problem this has created is that even if you're running answers to Sun-Shroom, you're not always going to get them, which means the rest of your deck has to be the highest tier. Mustache, Pogo Mug can sometimes come from behind by doing multiple bounces and bouncing everything that they play off the board. In order to compete with a Sun-Shroom deck, you have to be running top tier zombie decks. So now all of a sudden zombie players have been sweaty because it's the only way they can win. So zombie players are now playing as sweaty as possible, especially during Lawn Wars, which is another thing they created this last year, is that on weekends, people really want to grow, climb the ranks in Lawn Wars. Now the zombies are being super sweaty, and now plants can't screw around at all, because they're facing all these mustache decks and all these really top tier sweaties. There's no chill in PvZ Heroes anymore. This used to be a game where you can make a creative deck, use an idea. It's not the greatest deck in the world, but you can still win most of your games if you know what you're doing. But every once in a while, especially during the middle of the week, we'll have an experience like that. That's gone. And the culprit, the blame, is of course singly on this one card, Sun-Shroom. It's turned the game into a sweaty mess. This has been worse than Quarterly Bonus because Quarterly Bonus got changed. It was around for a long time and they finally hit it. Sun-Shroom, I don't know where we are right now. How has it gone this low? You can look at any kind of win rate statistics. I'm 1,000% sure that Sun-Shroom has the highest win rate of any card in PvZ Hero, to the point where I just don't run it anymore. Maybe I'll put it in a meme deck where it doesn't matter, all 100% mushrooms. Maybe I'll run it in that deck. But otherwise, I don't play Sun-Shroom anymore. It's boring. It's ruined PvZ Heroes, and I'm still just making every zombie deck. Really, any really highly competitive zombie deck has to be able to deal with Sun-Shroom in order to be worth it at all. All right, what would you do with Sun-Shroom? So I've already alluded to this. First of all, the thing it transforms into, Sunny or Shroom, has to have 2 health. This can't have 3. Sun-Shroom itself should have 1 health, because it's still, again, if this was a 2 health card turning into another 2 health card, let's say this would be 2 cost, 2 health, exactly the same stats as Twin Sunflower. This would still be an extremely good card because, again, it's giving you 1 sun the first turn and 2 sun the second turn. I would also turn this into 1 health. This would still be very good. But Sun-Shroom would have 1 cost, 1 health. Sunny Shroom would be 2 cost, 2 health, making it a playable card just like Twin Sunflower is. And then, so these cards won't be redundant, turns Twin Sunflower into 3 cost, 3 health. Just switch the stats of Twin Sunflower and Sunny Shroom. This would be the most optimal fix. Now, PopCap, if you're listening and that sounds too complicated, the simplest fix for Sun-Shroom is turn it back to the way it was before. We don't need this. This used to be a 2 cost card, exact same ability, but you can't play it on turn 1, you play on turn 2. So now on turn 2, it could die to Bungee, it could die to Rolling Stone, but it can also die to Beam Me Up, it can also die to Extinction Event, it could die to a mid, teleporting in a 1-drop. There's so many things that used to answer this on turn 2. It wasn't a very good card at 2, and that's fine. We don't need this. We don't need you, Sun-Shroom. Just turn, if you're worried about complicated and codes and maybe there's going to be a glitch, maybe something is going to ruin the meta, it's going to be too strong, too weak, just turn this back to the way it was before. If you want the non-optimal, just simple solution, I want 2 cost Sun-Shroom to come back. And that's it. There people have other ideas too. But honestly, I feel like that's the optimal one that keeps the essence of the card and keeps this as a competitive card. It will still be really good at 1 health, turning into Sun-Shroom with 2 health. It'll still be a really good card, but have a lot of answers. Risky to play on turn 1, but that would be great. Otherwise, 2-cost Sun-Shroom is the way to go. If there is one card right now that needs to be changed in PvZ Heroes, it's not Gravitry, it's not Fig, it is Sun-Shroom. Sun-Shroom alone, and I explain why. Gravitry and Fig are overpowered and need a nerf, but they're not ruining the meta. They're not changing the kind of decks that zombies need to run. Anyway, it's a good idea to run some Rocket Sciences in your Brainy decks. You got it, you know what I mean? And honestly, people don't run Fig as much as they run Sun-Shroom. This card is so overused, so overplayed. We've tried sort of in our community just not run any anymore. We've agreed it's kind of boring and it's ruining the meta, but people have unrelentlessly been using Sun-Shroom, and this is the state of PvZ Heroes. Honestly, you fix this one card and nothing else. Not Mustache Waxer, not Gravitry, and not Fig. I'd say those are the 3 other cards that do need a nerf. Just fix Sun-Shroom and we're fine. We can deal with Fig and Gravitry. I don't give a damn. Please nerf Sun-Shroom. Being a 1-cost card that basically ends the game if it's not answered, obviously that's going to be affecting the meta way more than a 4-cost card or a 6-cost card that are really difficult to deal with. That's the bottom line. It's in a tier of its own. Alone, I'm pleased nerf Mountain. End of rant, guys.